Welcome to Body Buddies, home of the Power Foods lifestyle. Take it one meal, one workout, one day at a time. And now, here's the founder of Body Buddies, Kristy Jo.
Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the Body Buddies podcast. This is episode number 169, The Big Comeback with Heather Dees. In case we haven't met before, my name is Kristy Jo. I am a mind and body strategist, and I teach people how to bridge the gap between the science of optimality and the reality of our day-to-day lives in psychology. So if you're wanting to blast through the brain fog, you want more natural energy, and heck, you want to see some muscle definition, you want to feel confident, and perhaps you need a better relationship with food, I'm your girl. You can find me on Facebook as Body Buddies, or on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter under Bod Buds. If you're new here, consider subscribing. I record weekly podcasts, sometimes solo episodes, sometimes interviews like today, about nutrition, fitness, and mindset, and everything you need to know in order to think differently and become a strategist of your health and body composition. You can start your journey today with my Power Foods Lifestyle Starter Kit, which is going to get you the paperback book, personally signed by me, the audiobooks you can listen in your car, while you're cooking, while you're shopping, running around, and of course, sample recipes and meal plans and the recipe books. So go over to powerfoodslifestyle.com. This starter kit is the entry path into starting to learn and to actually apply what you're learning here. So I'm really excited you're here. Before I tell you a little bit more about Heather, just want to give a shout out to our review of the week on the podcast. This review comes from Running Mama Peg. She says, "Each time I listen to one of Kristy Jo's podcasts, I learn something new. Being a health-conscious person myself, I am constantly on the lookout for useful information that I can incorporate into my training. I highly recommend subscribing to this podcast. You will get a wealth of information and learn a lot more about how to properly fuel your body, and will learn more about making workouts more efficient, among many other things." Thank you so much, Running Mama Peg. If you guys have iPhones and you got the new update, I'm looking at it on my smartphone right now. It's kind of funky, but I would definitely appreciate a review if you have not yet left one and you are liking the podcast. Always love hearing from you. So how you do that, just you got to go to click on the bottom right and click search, and then you're going to type in Body Buddies. It should pop up under the shows. Click on Body Buddies, then scroll down, and it's going to list the best of the podcast, which is really fun right now. It's recommending episode number 147, Smart Goals for Fat Loss, and episode 168, Practical Solutions for Aesthetics Goals. So it looks like those have been very highly downloaded recently. And so then under that, you'll see ratings and reviews. You can leave your 5-star review. Definitely appreciate those if you feel that I'm serving you and giving you good education, helping you live more strategically, learn, and of course, be more motivated. I definitely would love to hear that. So with that said, let's go into today's topic, which is this interview with IFBB Pro Heather Dees. So here's the interesting thing, you guys. She is a 4-time Olympian, 6-time Arnold Classic Figure International top 6 athlete, and she has placed top 6 in 21 of 24 pro figure shows. If you have not seen her physique, you need to get on Instagram now. Go to IFBB Heather Dees. It's Dees. Check this woman out. She's phenomenal. I'm just very grateful she shared her story with us. She recently placed 4th at the 2017 Olympia Bodybuilding Competition in September 2017. Here's the thing that a lot of people don't know. She got in a car accident a few years ago, and she kept competing, but she wasn't aware of why her body wasn't responding. There were some things she was facing, and finally, she was able to meet with some doctors to figure out what was going on. And it took years of therapy to get her body back to the best shape it's ever been in, and to make her comeback and to place top 5 on that Olympia stage is nothing short of extremely admirable. The emotional fight, the physical fight, her desire to not give up when so many others would have. If you are in a place where you need to make a comeback, you're ready to feel like, know what, I'm not giving up on myself. Heck no. Then you are going to love this. She's going to share what it felt like to take forth after years of not being her best, how it felt to have doctors finally figure out what was wrong and how it was to begin treatment, the mindset that she had to believe she could get through her challenges, an interesting dynamic because her husband is her trainer. So it's fun to hear how they manage that. I know a lot of you ladies are going to be interested to be like, oh my gosh, how would you do that? The top 3 supplements that she recommends, and I will say, because she's given me some samples, I've been doing them. I'm in love, you guys. So I'm excited for you to hear what she recommends. And her favorite and most effective lift for every muscle group comes in a rapid fire at the end, and it's super fun. So take some notes, get excited, get motivated. You're going to love this, and give her a follow over at Instagram at IFBB Heather Dees. All right, let's rock and roll.
Welcome to the Body Buddies podcast, Heather. We're so excited to hear from you today, and huge congratulations to you for taking forth at the Olympia this year. How did that feel to stand there among so many amazing athletes?
Well, thanks, first of all, for having me. I'm excited to be on this podcast with you. The Olympia was amazing, and you're right, there was such incredible athletes. I feel like the level of athletes and these girls that keep coming into the industry just keeps going up, and it keeps me on my toes for sure. So placing 4th was just, I was elated. I'm super happy with how the results turned out. You always shoot for 1st, but I cannot complain about top 5. So I'm stoked right now. Still, it's been 3 weeks and I'm still happy.
Yeah, it's amazing. What kind of nerves or emotions do you have? Between like actually going out there for, the actual judging versus when they announce, what kind of things are you feeling at that time?
So I think the pre-judging, you have a little more nerves. You want to perform your best because that's ultimately when they make the decision. I think everybody gets nervous. It doesn't matter how long you've been in the industry. You usually get those little butterflies like right when it happens, usually right before you walk on stage. So you're in the lineup, they call the girl before you, then you're next, and then you get the butterflies, and you're like, okay, calm your breathing down, go out there, do your thing you've practiced, and usually they start settling down by the time you hit your 3rd pose. So it takes a minute, but it's kind of what drives you. I've heard that if you don't get those nerves, you're not passionate about the sport much anymore, but maybe that's just something people say to help you calm and be relaxed. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? How long have you been competing? You've had some practice calming those nerves, right?
Yes. So I did my first show in 2008, and that was my first amateur show, March 2008. So it's been almost 10 years. We're coming up on the 10-year mark next March, and I feel like it's been between 38 and 40 shows. So definitely enough practice. You think you wouldn't get nervous anymore, but it still happens.
Sure. Happens to the best of them, everyone.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about this comeback, because that's kind of the word out there, is you've made this incredible comeback. From what I know, you competed, what was it, 2011, 12, and 13, and those were good years. Kind of give us the story of what happened since then and why people are calling this a comeback.
Okay, yeah, so after 2013, I placed 4th, so I automatically qualified for 14. The reason I didn't do the show in September of 2014 was because I was having hormone issues, and I didn't want to step back on stage not better than I was already at. So I wanted to regulate some hormones, make sure those were all good. We got those fixed, but then in October of 2014, I was in a serious car accident, and it totaled both my car and the van that hit me, and unknown to me, it caused some neurological issues, and not unknown to me now, but back then it took a couple, I would say about almost a year and a half to figure out what had happened. In April of 2016, after doing 4 shows and experiencing these tremors I would get in my hands, and actually it would transfer through my body. So I'd get them in my feet. If I like pushed on my toes, it created balance problems. So I was unstable in my heels, which I had never had this issue. Everyone always had commented before my car accident how poised I was on stage, how professional I looked, how confident I looked. And then after this car accident, with the nerve issues and the balance and stability, like the tremors that I was having, and which all of that gave me complete anxiety to even step on stage, because I was nervous that they were going to see the shaking, which made the shaking worse. So I had an MRI in April of 2014 because I went to my doctor and I told her what was going on. And she said, this might be due to that car accident. Let's order you an MRI. And so she sent me to a neurologist, and they, found white matter changes, which were ultimately affected from the car accident I was in. So having some answer was a huge relief, because I knew I wasn't crazy. I knew something was wrong with my body that I'd never experienced before. So I was relieved to have some answers, and then excited to get the therapy and the medicine I needed to figure this problem out and help maybe resolve it. So anyway, I went through some cognitive therapy in July of this year with this awesome doctor. She's a neuropsychologist, and it was just amazing that all the doctors that had helped me, I had a neurologist who continued to help me. I still have the tremor a little bit, and they were saying after 2.5 years it might never go away, but we were able to work in some different therapies that help me mitigate it and kind of overcome it more so when I'm actually on stage.
Wow. That's incredible to go through so much, and I'm sure you went through a lot of different emotional, things, maybe wondering if you'd ever be able to do this again. At what level would you be better than before? This is kind of who you are. This is the life you've built for yourself. So what was that like when you were trying to figure it out, and how did you position that mentally? Was it, I guess my biggest question, was it hard? What did you go through?
Yeah, it was really hard. I mean, it was devastating really to have going through these issues and not having any answers at first, competing in shows where I was, picked to be in the top. I placed second at the Arnold in 2012 and 13. Mm-hmm. And then, or was it 13 and 14? No, it was second at the Arnold in 2013 and 14. And so going into the Arnold 2015 after my car accident, I was a contender to be in the top spot. But with my stage presence being off, with the anxiety I had, which I don't know if a lot of people know this, but if you are stressed out on stage for any reason, a lot of the times it can make you retain water. It will make you hold water, and then you'll look soft and flat. So that obviously greatly affects your physique on that level when you're right there on stage. So my body would change the second I would walk out on stage, because I was so nervous about my tremors. And I was nervous about the judges seeing them, and then that would make them worse. And so I'd try and squeeze and pose, and my whole body would be shaking, and they're like, what's up with Heather? So for me, it was devastating, because I didn't feel like I was done in this industry, and I didn't want to go out as basically, she was good for a few years, and now, she's washed up or whatever. And these are all mental games you play with yourself. You're like, I am an athlete. I've been at the top. I'm not done yet, and I need to figure out what is going on. So for a couple of years it was hard, and I'll tell you, I got pretty emotional when I finally had met with some specialists, and they said, are you experiencing this, this, and this? These are all signs of a traumatic brain injury. They work with athletes, like football players that get concussions, or people that have other skiing accidents. So for them to kind of identify before I even talked to them about what I was going through, I had a huge emotional release saying, okay, this is identifiable, it's fixable. I mean, they've done some groundbreaking research over at Cognitive FX to help athletes or even people in general recover from these injuries. So I was excited to get the ball rolling and see how good I could improve my physique, my stage presence, and then ultimately come back as an athlete and prove to people that, you know, I'm still one of those top athletes that they'd seen in the past. So,
right.
you know, yeah, it was definitely hard at first, and it's kind of just, I feel like, and maybe that's why the Olympia was so exciting to be fourth place, because it was kind of that moment where you're like, see, this is fixable. I can, you know, do everything I can to recover and have some answers. And so for other girls out there that may be experiencing issues that kind of don't relate it to maybe a car accident they were in, or a ski accident, or wakeboarding accident, you know, whatever activity you're professional in or you're passionate about, you can find some answers and get some help so you can continue to enjoy your life, your passion, and all that.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that, because I think that's a huge part of life in general. Like, we all have to find solutions no matter what difficulty comes our way. It's our choice to either face it or just kind of let it sink us. And so you're an incredible example of facing it and saying, no, I'm not going to accept this. I'm going to work, and it's not going to be easy, but this is who I am. This is my mindset, and I will make it happen. Have you always had that kind of a mindset, you know, even before you were competing and really in the fitness world?
I want to say yes. I'm trying to think of other areas in my life. Like, I've always been driven to be independently successful in whatever I put my mind to. So, not just independently. I have a whole team that I work with, but I'm just saying, emotionally, physically, mentally, you have hurdles that you need to get over, and I'm never just going to quit. So for me, I didn't want to, and I wasn't going to, and I think that's a big challenge for people, because you might go through something, and then it's easy to go, this is way too hard, I've had this injury, I'm just done, and I have to stop doing what I love. And that is a mental game, because your mind will tell you something, and if you believe it, it will be true. But if you believe that you will recover, you'll be better, and you can come back strong, then that will be true too. It's like, if whether you say you can or you can't, you're right. You know, and I've always had that kind of, I think I told that by Justin, actually, my coach, my husband. He told me, whether you can or you can't, you're right. And he tells that to a lot of his clients, because, you know, a lot of times you get in your own head and you're like, I can't do this. I can't do that cardio session. It's way too hard. Well, I guess you can't then, because you're telling yourself that. So it is as much of a mental game as it is physical.
Yeah. Well, and I'm so curious about this husband/coach relationship, and you know, what that looks like, how you kind of, do you guys have boundaries as far as, okay, when are we in coach and client mode, and when are we in husband and wife mode? How do you manage that? What have been some of the really positive things that you guys have been able to create for other couples out there who maybe are in something, maybe not similar, but, you know, something they're trying to figure that relationship out?
Yeah, so I think it's gone unsaid as far as the coach-client mode versus husband-wife mode. He's not a micromanager, and he really respects me as an athlete. He knows I'm going to push to accomplish my goals without him having to go, you know, are you eating your meal plan? He relies on me to do it. He gives me all the tools I need. Whether I do it or not is up to me. So, and I think he realized that. So when we first started training, it was, I always get it confused whether it was July, August, or September of 2007. I think he says July. I think I say August. But whatever the case is, when he started training me, you know, I met with him. The second I spoke with him, I realized how knowledgeable he was and how educated and how passionate he was about exercise physiology. So I was like, okay, I want this guy to be my coach. So he trained me for about 6 months before we even started dating. And we had established that relationship. It was funny, because sometimes as a woman you get that vibe if a guy is interested in you like that. I never got that vibe, and it was like kind of one day it just kind of happened. We were hanging out outside of the gym. He helped me move into my apartment, and I realized we had a different type of chemistry even like outside of the gym. We just enjoyed each other's company. So once we started hanging out outside of the gym, we never stopped, and that obviously evolved into a relationship, into a marriage. But it's been really cool, because our relationship started as coach-client. I respect him when he, you know, he's pushing me to push more weights or push that cardio, and he's always very supportive. So I've been really fortunate about that as far as if I'm having a bad day or like feeling like kind of down, he's like, I know you can do it. You got this. You've done it before. You're strong, you know, and he gives me kind of that little pep talk. And sometimes as much as I don't want to hear it, I think, yeah, you're right. And in my own head, I'm like, okay, this is my goal, and whether I want to do it or do I not want to do it. And he would never force me to. So I think that's why it's established and been such a working relationship for 10 years now, because he doesn't push me when he knows. He just relies on me to get things done, and he encourages me when I am struggling.
Yeah. Well, and that's incredible. And the main takeaway I'm getting from that is, you know, so many women out there or men, you know, in a spousal relationship, kind of we put those expectations of the other person. We either want them to like force us to do it, and then we get mad when they tell us and we're not in the mood to do it. Or,
right.
You know, there can be some friction there, but what you're pointing out is it's up to you. It's you. He gives you the tools, and he's not going to sit there and judge you either way. He obviously wants you to be your best and reach your goals, and he'll maybe be disappointed if you don't follow through on what he knows you really want. But at the end of the day, he gives that to you and doesn't really hold it over your head, it sounds like, which is really incredible. What a good example for a lot of couples out there.
Yeah, and I always joke with people about this. I get asked that question a lot, like, how do you have your husband train you? I could never let my husband tell me, you know, what I could or couldn't eat. And for me, I swear, like, I could sit on the couch next to him eating ice cream and he wouldn't even blink an eye. I mean, I'm talking about during prep when I'm off season. Sure. And because when he tests me, he tests my body fat, you know, I weigh, checks my weight, whatever. He will know then whether I've been complying or not. So when it comes down to it, that's when we have a discussion. How is your meal plan going? Are you following it to a T? But when we're at home and we're sitting on the couch together, I don't even think he thinks about whether I'm eating something I should or shouldn't be, because he just relies on me to hold myself accountable, I guess, which I do. So it's good.
Right. No, that's amazing. So speaking of food and ice cream, I'll bet there's a lot of people out there who are curious about maybe some of those main foods that are part of your prep. And how long was your prep, first of all, this time?
This time, so after the Arnold Classic in March, actually I did the Hawaii Pro the weekend after the Arnold, and I came off with a win. So I automatically knew I was going to be doing the Olympia in September. So I didn't really allow myself to get like way off track. I felt really good. My body was feeling great. So I ended up just continuing to try and stay a little bit leaner in my off season, make some improvements, and then start prepping. And I think I started prep 15 weeks out from the Olympia, and I generally like a little bit longer of a prep. I know a lot of people usually go a 12-week prep, but for me to have a little bit longer, it seems like you're able to get into that mindset for the first week or two, and then, you know, you literally start prep probably 12 or 13 weeks out, but for the first 2 or 3 weeks, you're kind of going, okay, this is what I'm going to do. You're getting your body back into that motion of eating clean, and not that I don't eat clean off season, but way more precise. And a lot of people are like, so are you cutting now? I'm like, I don't cut in bulk. I just keep it really clean, or I have some cheat meals in my off season. So it's always trying to be consistent progress. But, you know, some of the staple foods is like basic stuff, chicken, steak, turkey, rice, sweet potatoes, oatmeal, protein shakes. And so all of this, I mean, kind of your essential, what you think, no preservatives, no artificial foods, no prepackaged foods. And you know, I've been using Protein House for my prep for the last year and a half, I think. And so they have been a huge lifesaver because they make all their food fresh, they keep it clean, and I pick whatever macros I want. And so I pick my macros, give them my meals, and then they make them. And so it actually, you know, 2 to 3 meals a day, and then I'll make the other 2 to 3 meals at home. So it just saves that time and energy and effort to keep you on track, because sometimes we're all busy. We don't want to do dishes. We don't want to go grocery shopping. We don't want to prep all of our food. And so to have a component where you can, if it's possible, have some help, then for me it's a lifesaver. This is the first time I've ever had that in my 10 years of competing. and I feel like it's such a stress reliever. So I kind of encourage people, if you're feeling off track, try it out, because it might be that little extra push you need to get on track, and then you can go back to making your own meals. But anyway, did that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and so for people that don't know, Heather is in Salt Lake. I'm about an hour up the road from her, up in Layton. So Protein House she's talking about is in Draper, Utah?
Yeah, it is a franchise, so there's some in other states. But yeah, the one they have here in Utah is in Draper. You're right.
Okay. So what are some other companies? I know like Icon Meals. There's a lot of like companies that even ship meals. Do you know of any others that people could look to as a resource?
I've never used any others. I see some on Instagram. I'm sure you can like hashtag meal
look at the
prep
hashtag.
And then they'll pop up in whatever location you're at. But I've never used any others, so I don't really know whether to vouch for them or not.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Just be resourceful, everyone.
Yeah.
I think it's good. You point out, save the stress.
Yeah. And you know, really a lot of the time it's more affordable than you generally think when you're considering going to the store, buying all the food, making it, doing all your dishes. You're like, okay, actually this saves me so much time. But, you know, if you like making your food, go for it, because that is very admirable. And I think women and men, too, that have goals set, you know, and they're dedicated, they're going to find the time to make it. So either way.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. Well, I would love to hear about the top 3 supplements, and I'm really excited to talk about this topic particularly because you gave me some samples and I've been loving them. But I'm curious to hear what your top maybe 3 or 4, supplements that you take in addition to your whole food diet.
So, Vital Body, they have came out with they have a whey protein. It has a little bit of carbs in it, but honestly, it's kind of small. So I wouldn't really consider it a whole meal replacement. I know some people are very cautious about carbs, so you can count them or you don't have to, either way. So their whey protein has been amazing. It has some of the fruit and veggies that is in their separate products. So they're 47 fruits and veggies, little stick packs, and then DBR. There's 3 products currently for Vital Body, and I literally have to take them every day. And ever since I've been taking them every day and feeling so good, it's almost like this mindset, like if I forget to, I'm like, crap, I'm missing something, because it has made me feel so good. So the whey protein every morning, I have a shake, and then the fruit and veggies I take, it's got your probiotics, your enzymes. It has 47 fruits and veggies. It has vitamins in it, obviously, that come, and they're cold pressed whole food organic powder. So you can throw it in some water, throw it in a protein shake, or throw it in some juice, whatever you like it best with. But for me, it's awesome because it's a powder. You mix it up, drink it. And then the final product is DBR, and this was actually their first product they came out with, and it's the first one I started taking with them quite a while ago. It was, I think, in 2015. And I'm always skeptical. There is so many products on the market. So you're kind of like, is this really going to work? Is it really doing any benefit, or is it just another thing out there? So I, did some research on the DBR. It has chelated minerals. That's a highly sourced, actually I think from Salt Lake, from an awesome really, really good ingredients. It has electrolytes. It has branched chain amino acids. And so basically, I use it pre-workout and post-workout. And it's just another stick pack, pink lemonade flavor. There's no artificial flavors or sweeteners or colors. So it's basically like a clear powder you add to like some water. And it really tastes good. But for me, those electrolytes and those minerals in it are kind of essential. It helps absorb the nutrients that you eat all day. For all the nutrition you take in, you want your body to absorb it and utilize it like maximally. So the DBR I know has done that. I started taking it, Justin actually started taking it because he got sent some. And with his knowledge and experience in the industry, I think they wanted to know his opinion on it. So when Vital Body sent Justin some, he tried it. And he's like, this is really good. Of course, he's like, Heather, try this. So I tried it. And I was like, wow, I did have a really great workout. And I've had so many clients that use it. They're like, I'm not as sore. like one client specifically, she's running a marathon, and she said she's done one other one, and or even her long runs prepping to get into the marathon. She said she's always like sore. She feels so sore the next day, and she's just dead. And she's been taking the CBR before and after her runs and like daily. And she's like, I cannot believe how good my body feels. So it's kind of fun to just hear other people's experience. Because I'm like, I love it. So I want to know if other people do or if I'm crazy. But I think other people really love it. So there's something to it.
Yes. Oh, there is. Well, and I'll tell you, because I, about 2 weeks ago, jumped into a prep that I'm doing for something in December, and I went from like lifting 2 days a week, pretty just minimal, volume, to some pretty intense stuff. And the person I'm working with just like suddenly ramped everything up, and I expected to be like deathly sore, and I'm in a deficit. Like I'm expecting to feel kind of crappy, but because I've been taking these products, I have been mind blown. I'm like, what is going on? And whenever you say like, I have to have it, I feel like I'm reiterating what you say when I'm like in my kitchen, I'm filling up my cup. I'm like, Heather's so right. Like that's exactly totally what you feel. So tell our listeners, where could they maybe give this a try? Where can they find this product?
So good news. It's vitalbody.co, so C-O, vitalbody.co. And that's their website. I have a promo code, which is 111157 or 111157, and they're going to run a Columbus Day special. So Monday it's going to be 25% off if they want to try it. We do promos every once in a while, but so this is their next promo. So I would always say, watch, depending on the holiday, there's generally going to be a promo. So if you're running low, you're like, well, there's maybe, Christmas is coming up. I mean, hopefully not that soon. Christmas is still a little bit away, but at least try the Columbus Day special, and it will get 25% off. But online is where they're at now. In Utah, I know there's Max Nutrition that's selling it on the in the Salt Lake Valley, like west of the freeway. The Max Nutritions are over by Vasa. I think Complete Nutrition might start carrying it. I know they got some samples. I just don't know if they've gotten it in. But, online's pretty easy. You get it pretty quick. They're based out of Arizona, so shipping isn't much. And, of course, you can go to my Instagram, which is IFBB Heather Dees, and I have the link in my bio. So if it's, if you're forgetting all this, just go to the link.
Yeah, that sounds good. And I'll also, for everyone who's listening on their smartphone, if you tap your screen on the podcast player, the show notes will pop up, and I'll also link it there with her code to use as well. All right, Heather, I want to do a rapid-fire question, and then we'll let you go because we definitely value your time. You're a busy woman. You've got lots going on. So thank you again for spending this time. So are you ready for your rapid fire?
Yes, go.
Okay, we're going to go through all the muscle splits, and you're going to tell us your favorite lift for each one. So chest.
Incline chest flies, I think, with dumbbells. That's my favorite one.
Okay, back.
Definitely pull-ups because I'm getting stronger. So I'm trying to do unassisted pull-ups and see how many I can get every week, hopefully a little bit more.
Ooh, where are you at right now? I'm really curious.
So unassisted, I usually do 4 sets. My first set I get between 10 and 12, which is like really cool because this has been, 10 years in the making. And then my second set, I can get usually almost 10, third set's like 8, and then 4 sets between 6 and 8. So, I don't recover way too long, but yeah. So, I do give myself a rest period, so that's why it slowly decreases as I go.
That's awesome. Shoulders.
Shoulders, I would say lateral raises, but I like to incorporate a superset with front raises. Awesome. Shoulders are just fun all around. I like every exercise for shoulders, but, lateral raises really gets the pump going.
Yeah. I'm just curious, do you bend your elbows more or do you do more stiff arm? What, like the majority of the time? What do you find yourself doing more?
Yeah, mostly stiff. I have a slight bend in my elbows, usually kind of slightly leaning forward, and I don't bring the dumbbells all the way together. I just put them basically to the outsides of my legs, and then I'll lift again. So I try to go, heavy and keep perfect form without swinging them around. I see a lot of people dropping their elbows, and so then they start incorporating like hip flexors and different stuff like that. So for me, to have a slight bend in my elbows, but mostly straight arms is what I usually do.
Cool. Triceps.
Probably dips. And honestly, I don't do a lot of arms. So triceps and biceps, I genetically have pretty developed. And so if I really trained them heavy all the time, they would probably dominate my arm and make my shoulder look small. So I haven't trained biceps in probably a couple years.
Well, and I think, okay, we're going to stop the rapid fire because really quick, I think that's a very interesting topic that a lot of people don't understand is when you're really training aesthetically, there comes a time that you have to start training for the look of your body rather than this like quote unquote perfect way of training, which would be to hit all your muscle splits equally. So
right.
That's incredible.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say you have to like look at your physique and see maybe your high points and then your weaknesses. And so for me, when you're developing something, you might develop one muscle group way faster than the other. And if you're just going for that a figure physique or even bikini, there are some muscle groups you might have to not train or minimally train so they don't dominate other areas of your body, because that's the ultimate goal, is to have a balanced, symmetrical physique, especially for the sport of bodybuilding. But I think in general, I mean, most people want to be balanced. And so you just need to kind of, that's where progress pictures, I think, come into play. I usually take weekly pictures. I don't think I've taken them for a couple weeks, so I probably should. But I take weekly pictures so I can see where I have weaknesses. Because a lot of the times when you see yourself every day, you don't notice, and then you start comparing pictures from this time this year versus this time last year, and you go, okay, I've definitely made some improvements here, but this place is lacking. Or say I brought my shoulders up so much that I did need to start training, a little more triceps again to balance it out, then I would do that. So it's always about keeping that symmetry.
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, let's work from the ground up. Let's go from calves.
Calves, probably, I like the donkey calf raise machine.
Okay.
If some of them don't have it, I'll do seated. But.
Okay. Hamstrings.
Hamstrings, it's a love-hate relationship, but the laying hamstring curl. It's so hard, but they work so good.
Yeah. Quads.
Quads, I would say leg press, because I love to see how strong I can get on that. When I'm starting to load up plates on each side, I'm like, oh, I'm getting stronger. So leg press, but lunges being an overall, like, hard for your legs, and it just does wonders for your glutes. I do love lunges too, so that's a tie.
Okay, and then glutes.
Glutes. Well, if we're just doing glutes specifically, then like maybe hip thrusts with like a dumbbell. Yeah.
Awesome. And then how often are you training your abs?
I try to train them 2 to 3 times per week. So you still want to give your abs recovery time. So if they're sore, I don't feel like it's as beneficial to just train them again. I think you need to let that muscle recover and then train them again. So every 3 days I try to hit abs.
Perfect. Cool. Well, that's fun. So final question for you. Where next? Where is your focus, and where do you want to go?
It's been 3 weeks since the Olympia today, and I know me and Justin have yet to kind of have this full-on conversation. What would be next would be the Arnold in March. So we wouldn't have anything for the rest of this year, and then prep would probably start end of November, early December. So we have a few more weeks to decide if that's where we're going, but I'll still try and focus on staying, more conditioned, just because it's a lifestyle now. I like feeling good. I like being in shape. And then, I still want to make some improvements. I love continually building my calves, hamstrings, and shoulders. Just those are all just fun areas, and they seem to be areas I can still make a little more improvement on. So, and abs too. Abs are a big one.
Great. Well, thank you again. This has been so much fun. I'm sure we could talk for hours more. I have so many more questions, but maybe we'll have to do a follow-up after the Arnold next year. So thank you so much. And everyone go give her a follow on Instagram at Heather Dees, right? Or IFBB Heather Dees. That's the one.
Yeah, IFBB Heather Dees. Perfect.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Kristy. It's great being on your podcast.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review on iTunes. You can learn more about Body Buddies and Power Foods Lifestyle by going to www.body-buddies.com, BODY-BUDDIES.com, and powerfoodslifestyle.com. That's www.POWERFOODS-lifestyle.com.
Information in this episode is provided for informational purposes and is not meant to substitute the advice provided by your own physician or other medical professional. Information and statements regarding dietary supplements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Bye.